Someone just sent me a letter from the Rabbi from Tovshin Tezvov, where the Rabbi says, that as Achsidische Farbrengen frischt up the Nefesh Elekis. Mele, when the speeches were finished, and we'll start a real Chassidische Farbrengen with the Hauptfrisch Nefesh Elekis, we'll know that we accomplished something with this Farbrengen. The MC is asking me should speak in English, so, but my English is like your Yiddish, so we'll be fine. Like our old times Yiddish, my English, we'll be fine. Bechlal b'negetzach of Ches Siven, there is a inyan niflo, a dvar pele, that we see b'negetzach of Ches Siven. It's mamish a pele godel, was b'shas kommt zu Farbrengen Ches Siven, darf Farbrengen wegen dem. Als man sieht, als der Inyan von Ches Siven gewinnt a inyan nister. Nobody knew about it. Yidalef Nissen, or the Rebbe Tzunchane, she said to the Chassidim already in Paris, and then the Rebbe said, Amaymer, Yidalef Nissen, Tavshin Beis, Yidalef Kislev, am Chassidim hat sicher gewusst, right? The Chassidim hat gewusst, Yidalef Kislev. And then the Rebbe himself said, aber der Farbrengen, Yidalef Kislev, Tavshin Yidalef gewinnt. Der erste Mal, richtig. And the question is, why Take of Ches Siven, he given a zach that the Rebbe was hiding it. It was beseiser. Nobody knew about it. Agamas test order, when it was Shabbos, the Rebbe spoke about it. And Chassidim gewusst them date. And the Rebbe spoke when it was a smiches. But of Ches Siven, nobody said anything. 35 years the Rebbe is a Nossi. And er fühlt sich als wie is a Tzadik Nister in Paris. Nobody knows about Chav Ches Siven. Yem says Siven Tavshin, doesn't say a date. And it's not like you have to be a Mimushnik or a Spitz Chabad to understand as Chav Ches Siven is a Yom Tev. And we can gain in gas, and you will ask every chug in Charedische Welt heint. For years they are celebrating every one of their manhigim who was saved from the Holocaust. Is wie kommt das, as for years, 35 years, Tovshim Em Dalet, Tovshim Em Hey, 35 years the Rebbe is a Nossi, and nobody says a word about the day he was saved from the Holocaust. Nobody says a word about the day he came to America. How could it be? Doesn't make any sense. Dover niflo mamish. The Rebbe can a Nossi for 35 years, und er alter Tzadik Nister. What's beim das doch mamisch a dover bilti moven beglau. Da dover pelle. Da ist a große Chance zu verstehen das. So beim es am Tracht sich herein, was der Rebbe gerät. Der Rebbe says in the Siche von Tovshin im Test, der Rebbe says as am zed da Ashgoche Protis und da Ashgoche Liena, when he geht to coming to America. As Yidden came to America, when they ran away from the pogroms, again Ashgoche Protis Miyuchedes, and then noch the Ashgoche Liena, that the Rebbe came to America. So when you think about how this happened, this whole of Ches Siven, we have to reinnacken in den Kopf, as jeder Sach beim Rebben ist bei Ashgoche Protis Mechuvenes. As aber nicht gewusst wegen dem, 35 Jahre, there was a reason for it. Es ist nicht Stammazei. Der Ashgoche, Liena, jeder Ines in die Geht zum Rebben. So when it comes to Ches Siven, how it started. Als habt ihr schon vor Rebben. Der Rebbe hat geheißen, schon Ber Levin, zu printen der Geskedisch. Und der noch gewähnt, As Erev Rosh Hashanah Tov Shimem Dalet, the Rebbe came with the Sefer of Igas Kodesh Chelek Hey. Richtig. And the Rebbe read the letter von jenem, was schreibt, wegen dem Minion von der Sforim. Der Sefer, Igas Kodesh Chelek Hey, that's the Sefer that has the letter about Chav Chesiv. And Shalom Levin, Arav Shalom Levin made a ganze Trask in the Movie, a ganze Skira wegen dem Kommen von Rebbe. And that's where people started to know as Faran Azazach. Aber Afal Bechen in Tov Shimem Dalet, es ist nicht gar keine Serus zu machen a Farbrengen, Chav Chesiv. So, sie gehen gedruckt, allem gelehnt, allem gewusst wegen dem, ist auch nicht gewesen. Noch ich komme in Tov Shimem Hey. Und dann bereden wegen dem noch mehr, sie gehen a Bocher, nahe der Choshev Shliach, Arav Melach Gorevich. And his wedding was on Chav Chesiv. And for whatever reason, he wanted to know what to do for his wedding. What should be... He didn't want Chav Chesiv, whatever. So he came down in 770, and Abocha told him, what says Chav Chesiv? And the Rebbe came to America. So he put the logo on his invitation, out a little boat, a ship, and it said that the Rebbe, B'yem Beicha Kadmul is he was the first one, Take. Der Mela Gorev, Zocher Latev, Chsidish in Gemani was a typer from Malhak. Gewinnt der Erste, was hat gemacht mit dem Ashturim, Take. And the noch gewinnt, Tov Shimemei, gewinnt Take, the Meise mit when the Bochem were talking about it, and but the Machel gewinnt, jene Jahr on Tov Shimemei, the Rebbe used to come in 70 upstairs in Saal, sie gewinnt der Tisch, sie gewinnt kein Ständer, but nicht gesungen. Die alle Sachen, was mir seht von den Videos, von den Later in the news, didn't exist. You don't sing. The Rebbe comes in, and then he takes out the key. Right? He takes out the key before by Aleino. There was no singing. There was business. And the Rebbe comes rein, and we were singing, and we were very nervous to see what would be the reaction. But the Rebbe gleich when raised from Tir, when I thought the Rebbe started to make his hand, and when he came to his seat, to the table, he still made the hand. But gleich gesehen hat, der Rebbe ist mekabel dem Minyan. Aber lepeil mamesh, sie gewinnt bis sehr anpin. In Cheder Sheni, in Saal upstairs, you know how the size of Cheder Sheni. Cheder Sheni, Saal upstairs, sie gewinnt nach kein Verbringen von Bochem. That's all. Dann noch kommen Tov Shimem Vov. And everyone knows already, der Wade gedruckt im Kevitz, alle Bochem, weiß ich schon die ganze Parsche. Hat Tov Shimem Vov, sie gewinnt ein Gemann von der Zisrol, who came and he drove everyone crazy, and got him Igas Kodesh in hand, and he said, everyone, you have to see it. It's Ma'abdach HaYomte von dem, v'chulu. The Peil Tov Shimem Vov, it's been a kutze from Bochim, and decided we have to make a Yomte. And Tov Shimem Vov, we made it's again Taka Shabbos, it's again 45 years from the Rebbe coming to America. On we made a Farbrengen, a big Farbrengen, nicht einmal a kleine Farbrengen, ganz 70 like a Rosh Chodesh Kislev. And the only person we were able to think of should be the person to go up to the Rebbe was Meir Ali, because he does a Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and eine von der. But Meir didn't want to, either he felt it was a competition to Rosh Chodesh Kislev, but most important, he was nervous about how the Rebbe will, the pale Friday, the day before the Chav Chesiv, we felt maybe it's kedai to machen a tshure. In those days, today it's so common, everyone makes a tshure for the wedding, this. In those days, there was no tshures hanging out in the 70s. We decided we'll make a tshure, and that's what we bring the ganze 770 into. So what was it tshure? The Move from Shalom Levin, the brief from Friedrich Yerem, the Move from Shalom Levin, the chelik from the Move, and the Siche from Tess Oder. Tov Shimemei was an outstanding Siche. Tov Shimemei, the Rebbe got a Siche wegen Tess Oder, as Tess Oder is like a Tess Kislev. An unusual thing. A Tess Oder is Kislev, as Punkt des Kislev, the Gile von Chassidus in Chatzig Radar Alien, Tess Oder is Chatzig Tachten. And the Rebbe said, as mit dem Schweigen Kashes, why all of a sudden the Chesed is Gal geworden, was ist der Ingen von Akel Yosef Beitei, and there is a time for everything. So Lepeil Mamesh Meir Alig Shabbos before the Farbrengen, he was saying he's not sure he's going to take the mashke. He was nervous. The Rebbe talking the Farbrengen, the erste Siche, the Rebbe was talking very strongly about. Normally the Rebbe used to seek Shabbos Wochem Tammuz wegen the meaning von the Meister und der Geule, v'chulu v'chulu. Here the Rebbe took the entire Sikha, immediately says, because he gehulef in Bistamos, when I was for Russland, for Russland going to Poland, from Poland going to America, so the whole thing was about America. So I'm gerade gesehen, der Rebbe redet wegen der Mine von Chatzuk Tachten. So Meir Arlig, in middle of the Sikha, he looked to us and he said, I'm doing it, don't worry. Right away, it was very clear that the Rebbe don't get him the minion. Anyway, Lepel Mamish, after the 3 Sikhs, the Rebbe the Rebbe said that Divas from Gedom Mashke should come up. So Meir ben up, and everyone knows the story already. Foran the Chelik that Mendy Shavstein reminded me, Rabbi Shavstein, as the Rebbe, when Meir said the Achroze, the Rebbe said, he said, the Rebbe coming to America. So the Rebbe said, the Rebbe to give him the hand, Ishu Beiset, Ashmeichel. But then Meir told that the Rebbe meant, as everyone should come with their wives to the Farbrengen. So, hat gesagt, alle dann kommen. So, mit dem Mann gestartet und tell, no, the Rebbe meant the Rebbetzin. So he said again, the Rebbe was stuck to Shmeichel. As the Rebbe, Isha Beisei, the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin came back. Der Chagav, der Loshen Isha Beisei, ist doch von Chumash. Der Rebbe sagt, der Loshen ist als Bediuk. So von Chumash, von wo steht in Shmeis, als Yankiv Isha Beisei Bo, was dort nicht gewinnt, dasselbe Sache von Chesiven. Als alle Yankiv und seine Kinder, they were all saved from the famine in Eretz Knaan, und wir haben geraten geworden in Mitzrayim. Und so echt der Chone zu der Minion von Matentere, durch Mitzrayim, geworden von Matentere. So die Mama ist dasselbe Minion von Chesiven, der Rebbe sagt, Wort, das ist nicht Tamazei. Taki, noch Shabbos, at those days, there was no Mugi of the whole Sikha. Only one Sikha, the whole Farbrengen. They used to choose one Sikha. So those, the Chazer, the Maniach, the typical Maniach was David Feldman, he was out of town, he was in Israel for a wedding. So Rabbi was doing the Sikha. So Taki interessant, at the Farbrengen, the Rebbe was Mechal in the Farbrengen Sikha Lok. Bechal, Bederich Klal, the Mashke was always in the end of the Farbrengen. The Bederich Klal was the Mashke. In that year, that Farbrengen, the Rebbe, as a Mechal in the Farbrengen, first he said the first Sikha, the second, the third Sikha, he stopped. So the Rambam and Pekovis, he stopped and he asked for the Mashke. And after the Mashke, the Rebbe said a Sikha about the Rabbanim from Kronitz. The Pale Rabbi was very into it. So anstatt Magias and the Sikha from Chavche Siven, he was Magias the Sikha from the Rabbanim. That Sikha he sent in. The Pale, when he sent in the Sikha, he was still not under the impression as they do a Naya Yontiv. Hat geschrieben, mir schreibt allemal, Shabbat Shlach, wir wochen Tammuz. Hat der Rebbe zugelegt auf Chesiven. Lepel Mamesh, in Tovshin Nun Aleph, hat der Rebbe gedruckt in Kevitz, die Siche von Tovshin Menvov, und der Rebbe hat nicht mehr gegeben, und es gegeben, der Rebbe gave it out, Kemeshehu. Wie muss man der Sicher, von Tovshin Menvov, was man gedacht hat, kann Magia sein, der Sicher, der Rebbe gave out. Akoponim, going to back to this Lepel Mamesh, sie gewinnen 3 Jahre, Tovshin Menvov, Tovshin Memzayin, Tovshin Memches, sie gewinnen mehrere dicke Entfers vor Rebbe. Danke, der Loschen von der Entfers, sie gewinnen mehrere dick. Ein Loschen gewinnen, der Rebbe geschrieben, Tovshin Menvov, der Rebbe geschrieben, wie Wasser Tev. Sie dachte sich mit der Loschen gewinnen. Keini Wasser Tev v'chulot. Das ist mein Wov. Mit dem Sein der Rebbe geschrieben, Iskarti alatzin lepulim sheche ze koanal ubeisofe. Mit dem Chesed der Rebbe geschrieben, Keini Wasser Tev, pulim sheche ze koanal ubeisofe dafke. Meidike l'shenes. But still, after all of this, the Rebbe didn't speak about it. Sie gewinnen als Sache, was Chassidim tun, Chassidim did it, and the Rebbe was like, he gave a skome, wie man sagt. Memches, he gave a Maimer, Kuntus Chavchesiv, he gave a Pesach Dover, wegen Chavchesiv, and the Rebbe was not Magiait, he was just writing the date. And Tess was the first time the Rebbe made a very serious change in the Hagoy, very serious change. And then the Farbrengen came. Now the Farbrengen is very interesting. Test Farbrengen is unusual. The Rebbe started Farbrengen. When you look there Muge, you don't see it. But if you look in the Anoche, in the Techen Kotzer, you'll see how the Farbrengen went. The Rebbe started Farbrengen when he gets stuck in the meaning von Chavches Siven. The Rebbe said, gleich the erste Wörter, as the meaning von Chavches Siven is Kirchen Siven, and immediately the Rebbe stopped. And the Rebbe said, as they wisst doch a Remes, das wenn ich auch gebracht früher. So the Rebbe kind of excuse himself. We bald voran, the Rebbe Rashab said, man sagt a Remes, und as a Mason Yerushalayim, mag man sagen. And then he said, as they wisst gewesen 3 Jahre. It was 3 years. Was man gemacht, was man gewege mit dem Mine, dem von Chavches Siven von 3 Jahren. 3 years was selber Chavches Siven. Es nicht mehr geworden, es Mine, um gesehen, die gute Titzois. The Mele, the Rebbe says, the Mele, that's kilo, the Rebbe is taken from them, was man gemacht Farbrengen, verstehst? The Rebbe is taken from them, Farbrengen, 3 times, so sie mir sehen, tut Titzois, the Mele, wird man sicher machen, als sie bei Yosef und beim Meshach von der Chavchesim, Meshach Hashonim Abois. Das ist gewesen Ki'ilu, the excuse, the Siyua, why the Rebbe should talk about Chavchesim. So do werde die Scheile, again, why Chavchesim, man ist dann Chavchesim von alle und Themen von Rebbe. Why was this hidden? Why was this not public? In every chug they celebrate it, and beim Reben nicht. Tessoder is a Yom Tov, beim Reben is nicht. Why not? Dalef Nissen is a Yom Tov, alle wissen. Dalef Kislev is a Yom Tov, but Chavches Siven is not a Yom Tov, bis Mem Tes. What's the problem? Now, am Betracht sich herein, davor ich verbringen die Rebenswerte, when we think about what the Rebbe told us, Mem Tes, the Rebbe spoke about it not only Shabbos. The Rebbe spoke about it not only in Shabbos von Chavches Siven, the Rebbe continued the next Shabbos von Chukas. The Rebbe kept speaking about this Indian from Chavches Siven. Bechlal, that Shabbos, those who know, Chukas or Kerach. That Shabbos von Hey Tammuz was an unusual Shabbos. Everybody who was by the Farbrengen remembers that. When the Rebbe spoke about the Neder al Das Rabbim. Everyone who was there remembers that Farbrengen. So that Farbrengen, the Rebbe spoke about Shlach. As we listened to what the Rebbe said in Shlach of Chavches Siven Mem Tes, we understand what is Chavches Siven all about. The Rebbe says clearly, Shlach lecho ledaitcho. The Rebbe quoted Rashi. The Rashi says, Ani eini mitzavelach. I'm not telling you what to do. Ledaitcho bim tirtzeh tishlach. So the Rebbe asked the question, Moshe Rabbeinu should have seen that something is wrong here. Allemol, the Eibishter tells Vadavar Moshe Leimer, he gives him a tzivui. He tells him, do this. Mitamol, ani eini mitzavelach. Ledaitcho. So Moshe Rabbeinu should have smelled that something is wrong here. Voraya, something taka came out wrong. And the Rebbe explained, Faket, Moshe Rabbeinu was very happy. Why? Because there are 2 Eifanim and Avodas Hashem. One Eifan is, at the Eibishter haste, there is a commandment from the Eibishter and you have to follow. The second Eifan is, as the Daitcho, that you do what you want. Bebchir Chovshis. The Rebbe said, the Mishnah says, one Lashon Mishnah is battle Retzein Chov Pnei Retzeinei. That you have to be mevatel, kfir. You force yourself, eskafye, to do what the Eibishter wants. The second Lashon is, asei Retzein Chov Kirtzeinei. Not bittul, not kfir, but make you rotzen in your Bchir Chovshis. So Moshe Rabbeinu was very happy that the Eibishter gave a naye derech in Aveda. That not only, as mit Ramad Afton, the Eibishter haste, but you have a place on Bchir Chovshis, that when the Eibishter doesn't, the Eibishter hates no Bchir Chovshis anymore. But the Eibishter sagt, ledaitcho, lirtzeincho, then you have Bchir Chovshis to do asei ritzeincho kirtzeincho. So the Eibishter actually was happy with that. So the Rebbe Masbir, ados der Inyan von Chavches Siven. So it's interesting, in Tovshin Nun Aleph, the Rebbe said, as the Shluchim, the Meraglim, went to Eretz Yisrael in Choftei Siven. It's a meredi Gezach, how beim Rebbe, everything is bediuk. Meraglim went Choftei Siven. That says, as the Meraglim went after Choftei Siven, after they got the Keach, for Choftei Siven, then the Meraglim went. Why Take Choftei Siven verbunden mit the Meraglim? And the Rebbe says, Pashtas, was the idea from the Meraglim is to conquer Eretz Yisrael, to conquer the Israel, Wopshat to conquer, to take Eretz Canaan, which was a land mocking from Klippus and Cheshach, behaupten to Eretz Yisrael, to Eretz Kodesh. So also that there was a begidra tachtenim, it has to be that the Eretz itself Eretz Yisrael itself should be conquered in the way Eretz Yisrael feels and understands. So the Eifen to do is dafke le daitcha. Dafke in the bchira chovshis of the person. The Rebbe is made for the Sikha a very interesting point. As not only, why is it sent Meraglim? The Meraglim were there, the spies were there to find out b'derech hateva how to conquer Israel. Because the ganze Inne von conquer Israel is b'derech hateva. Because we want that the Tachten should understand and feel himself that. Then the Rebbe said an interesting word. What is Chof Siven? It's the end of Chedesh HaShlishi. And right the beginning to Chedesh HaRevi. What means das? That just like the Rebbe says, as B'shas you finish the Chedesh HaShlishi, Chof Siven, you end the Chedesh HaShlishi, you go away from Matan Torah in Zman. As soon as you go away from Matan Torah, because as long you stand at Har Sinai in Matan Torah, you can't do L'daitcha. You can't do the Shlichus from L'daitcha. Because you're still there, right there in front of the Eibishter. B'shas you go away, and you go to Chedesh HaRevi, which is a Chedesh from the Mekabel, then it starts in from L'daitcha. Sai B'zman and Sai Moker. But what is the Nekuda? The Nekuda is the Rebbe said another shlav in Shabbos 8 Tammuz. That Shabbos the Rebbe spoke about, everyone knows about the infant, the Neder Das Rabbim. The Rebbe said, as God Levi Yisrael, that he said they'll come to Gan Eden at Mona Mashiach. You're not going to Gan Eden, the Mashiach will come. So the Peil Mamish the Rebbe said, another Godel said about him, about him angeret, they gave him something and he went to Gan Eden. What? A Zucker, but he gave him something and he went to Gan Eden. So the Rebbe said, what is the Eitze? Everyone remembers those Wörter. What is the Eitze? A Neder al Das Rabbim. So no matter what we'll say, it's a Neder al Das Rabbim, so we can't do anything. So that Farbrengen, the Rebbe said beferish as b'shas der ine, what is the difference of Siven? B'shas mit as der ine for the daitcha. What is the daitcha? To go to Chatzi Kalatach, das ist the daitcha. There's no tzivu in Torah that we have to go to Chatzi Kalatach. No such a tzivu. The ine for the daitcha means that we have to go to Chatzi Kalatach. Und dort machen dir les wo betachtenim, das eine von der Deitcha, das der höchste eine von der Deitcha. So when you learn, so b'shas mizet an beim Reben alte bashgoche protis. Everything beim Reben is meduyek. B'shas you verbringen des Siches von Chof Siven, memtes, und Hei Tammuz memtes. So you don't have to be a big spitz Chabad to realize at their reading for Chof Siven, why it was Beseiser, why the Rebbe was hiding it for 35 years. Because the Rebbe was waiting as Dafke at the reading for Chof Siven should come from the Daitcho, from the Elam, from the Chassidim, from the Mata, the Tachten. Tov Shem Vov, Mem Zayin, Mem Ches, it came from the Tachten. And only after 3 years it came from the Tachten, the Rebbe spoke about it. Only at the end. But the question is still, why take the Bochem, like Rabbi Holtheim and Bechutten in the Chofs, why didn't they think about Chof Ches Siven? Why it took so long? Probably we have to verbring about the Mistamet, the Mato, the Rebbe waited for Azam Mato from the Boche von the Mems. And the Rebbe sagt, Tachten, Shein, Tachten, Mato, Imeno. Then we have to check ourselves. Tap in the pekel. Tap in the pekel. But why is it Take waited for the Lamets? They didn't know about it, Chof Ches Siven. Not in the Mems. Why it waited to use the Chofs, the Lamets, only the Mems? What it took so long? Nicht gewusst. Everybody knew there was a you Adam found the article, the ad, the Friedrich Rebbe put in the Tag Morgen Journal. Baruch haba. Was haben wir nicht gewusst? Alle gewusst. Was no secret. The Rebbe came to America. The Rebbe Farbrengen. The Rebbe spoke about Dalet Shetzichem Lehedes. Everyone knew about it. Why it took till the Mems to find out about Chof Ches Siven? What I'm trying to say, as mit darf einhaken in Kopf, that everything beim Rebbe is b'ashgoche protis. We don't do anything. Nicht die Woche von the Jews, nicht die Woche von the Lamed, nicht die Woche von the Mems. We don't do anything. Der Rebbe tut alles. Alles ist b'ashgoche protis, b'ashgoche eliena. Everything that touches the Rebbe is b'ashgoche eliena. There's nothing that we do. We do nothing. Einmal fahren wir rein in den Kopf, das Minion. Der Rebbe führt das aus. We don't do anything. Everyone knows what happened to Tov Shememei. The first time we Tov Shemem Daled, there was the book in Kodesh. No Yiseiros. Why? Nobody knows. When was the Yiseiros in Tov Shememei? When in Tov Shememei? Chof Ches Siven Memei. What happened Siven Memei? Anybody knows? What happened Siven Memei? After Shavuos Memei, when the Rebbetzin told the Rebbe about the Gneve from the Sforim. And the Rebbe tried behind the scene to get him to give back the Sforim to the Rebbetzin, to the Rashag. Those happened in Siven Memei after Shavuos. And 3 Tage after Chof Ches Siven, when the Rebbe gemacht with the hand, he gave the meeting with Aguch. That meeting that everybody in 770 knew, as nobody knows what Aguch spoke to the Rebbe, what the Rebbe spoke to Aguch, aber it based Tammuz with me wissen. Do you remember that? But gewusst, as he gave a meeting with Aguch. The Rebbe never had meetings with Aguch. Never. So he gave a meeting with Aguch. And nobody knows what it's about, and the Rebbe betreten with Beis Tammuz. That's not gewusst. That was the only piece of news that we knew from the Einiklach of those who went in there. Was he given with Siven Memhei, the Rebbe was trying, the Grester Cheshech and the Gester Kritrug of der Ashvi given Siven Memhei. It started the Ine from the Sforim. And then Lepel Mamish, the Rebbe was still trying, as the Rebbe said, Beis Tammuz, as Chassidim will nicht tun mit lawyers, the Rebbe still hoped that he will give back the Sforim. Dafke Menvov, B'shas given the Mishpet, and the Rebbe spoke, says Chaneke wegen dem Kitrug. Tov Shemevov, the Rebbe doesn't count in 3 Yor Memhei. He doesn't count Memhei. Realize. The Rebbe says 3 Yor, Memtes. He says 3 Yor, 3 years. What's 3 years? Memvov, Memzayim, Memches. He doesn't count Memhei. Huh? Maybe it's Aviesa, but the Rebbe count 3 years. He says 3 years. 3 Yor. Was it 3 Yor? Because Memvov was already in middle of the Mishpet. Richtig? Memvov mit Mishpet. So Dafke, when the biggest cheshech of the Der Ashvi started, the biggest kitor of the Der Ashvi, of the mission of the Der Ashvi, that's when the Rebbe was mekabel, the meaning of Ches Siven, that's given the Yiseiros from the Bochem, the Tachten. The Rebbe read doch in the Siches of Ches Siven Tinosei, of Ches Siven Memtes, as the ganze meaning of Ches Siven is, as Dafke b'shasi come to the United States, Tachten. דווקא בשעת דוס דר מוקם, גם אז החייס הגרסה חשך, הגרסה ירידה. As Menschen were thinking as America is anders, that America cannot be a Jew like in Poland, like in Europe. Und dafke do in der Mokem HaCheshach, von dem Cheshach kommt der Reise Godel. So dafke in the end of der Ashvi, mit den Reben, dafke in der letzte Jahr von der Ashvi, dafke in die Jahr, was ich gewohnt, der größte Cheshach, that's when Chavches Siven, because that's what the only for Chavches Siven is. Le Daitcho, der ganze Chavches Siven ist, dass der Rebbe hat aufgetan, als da sind die Linie von Le Daitcho. Also nicht nur, bis er Chossi, was der Rebbe heißt, bis er Chossi, was du willst sein Chossi. Le Daitcho, bepchir Chofschitz von Aiden. But the Iker Nekude, was Chavches Siven darf verbringen, the most important thing Chavches Siven. What's negate to us, der Ashvi noch Gimel Tammuz. We have to understand what Chavches Siven is. We have to study Chavches Siven and learn the Rebbe Siches from Memtes, from an Aleph. Why is it so important to us? Because Chavches Siven is the important to us in the der Ashvi, especially after Gimel Tammuz. Bechlal, in the Rebbe's door, the Rebbe demanded something that none of the Rabbeim demanded. There's no mimer from the alte Rebbe saying, was it the Dira Rishon? There's no mimer like that. No mimer from Mittel Rebbe was the Dira Sheni. There's no mimer like this. Dafkin Bosse Vegani Tovshin Idalev, that's the only mimer the Rebbe says, as a Davzan, a Yediyeh, and a Koreh, with the Dira Shvi. The Rebbe never, none of the Rabbeim made a statement what their generation is. Again, we get Chassidus. Aber I feel the Rebbe himself, after that Maimon, he never spoke about it. A regular Maimon was a Maimon Chassidus. But the Maimon from Yudshvat Tovshin Idal, the Rebbe gave a statement, as it's very important to have the idea and the Akore. Why is it? Something unique by Rebbe. No Rebbe did it before. But beim Rebbe, the Rebbe said it in Chavches Siven and Aleph, it's a Mugedike Sicher not came out. The Rebbe says that jeder Eid in them door is needed. Everyone is needed. In order for Mashiach to come, everyone is needed. Everyone remembers as Pesach Memches, the Rebbe said, one of the Chalameids, I think it was the 6th night of Pesach. It was a very unusual thing. The Rebbe should speak Pesach every Sicher. The Kronheitzers felt that the Rebbe took away their holiday. It was the only Yom Tov that they had vacation from Rebbe. It was a vacation. Pesach was no Farbrengen, still Achashe Pesach. Mitamol, the Rebbe took a Sicher, Faran Seder. The Rebbe said the whole Seder there. And the Rebbe said a Sicher every night, Pesach, Memches. They thought, what happened? Pesach is going to be a Sukkot. It's over. Vacation is over. So the Rebbe, one of the Sichos that was on Pesach, was? Das ist eine Sache. Richtig, you have Rabbi Oltein here. But Mama is given a shocking Kanheit. I remember when the Rebbe said a Sicher Pesach Memches, they thought, that's it? No Seder? No Sicher, an hour and a half, no Chazorah. Over the Seder is over. The whole vacation is over from Pesach. They're on vacation in Kanheit, richtig? Pesach on a vacation. Wie sagen schon Pesach, noch was noch verbringen. Doch, der Rebbe speaks every Sicher. So one of the Sichers from Memches, the Rebbe said, alle wissen, die Sichers auf a tape, hat von sich allein nicht gehört, wegen dem von Mashiach, nicht von seinen Taten, und sicher nicht von seinen Seiden, until he came to America. And then a Bocher was meirer, as the Rebbe, in meinem Moster Digani, the Rebbe was meirer, the Rebbe said, when he gets to der Ashvi, wenn der Friedrich Rebbe said it, betchilas Beila Amerika. Was ist die Gehrt von Beila Amerika? Das ist der Ashvi. Was ist die Gehrt reinigen in meinem von Boston Ligani Dalaf, betchilas Beila Amerika. Das heißt, dass der Indien von Beila Amerika, das ist die Gehrt zu uns. Das heißt, dass der Sturm, Bechlal alle wissen, als bis efter die dann Notzach, The Rebbe said the Inyan von Im du och in Kulchem, der Sturm von Mashiach. And Chof Ches siven nun Aleph, the Rebbe Taka said, at the Rebbechter darf jeden einem, the Rebbechter needs every Jew that he should ask for Mashiach. In order for the Rebbechter to do his job, his mission, to bring Mashiach, he needs everyone to participate. It's a nice Zach, was he gewonnen dem door. So letztens ist Galag war a neue Entfer von Reben. For 30 years I was sitting, nobody knew about the Entfer. Und mit einmal ist Galag war a neue Entfer von my Schwager, who was a schlicher son, he never knew about it. Es war Entfer von 2 Wochen, und nun bei, they went to schliches in Chasson. Und der Rebbe schreibt, sagt Xaviat Kedish von Reben, es ist Galag war Mama Schnau. Und was ist Xaviat Kedish? Allem zusammen gesehen, alle Wochen. Der Rebbe reizt zu den Wochen, a ganze Sache wegen des Stichs in Chasson, und der Rebbe reizt zu dem, mit Shuaschein, der Rebbe sagt durch die Wochen, Shuaschein mireish im Iyu amemutza mechaber. Der Rebbe reizt zu 2 young Bochen. Es gibt einer von denen ist Rauf und Chabad, und einer von denen ist Rosh Hashiva, aber der Rebbe reizt zu 2 young Bochen. Shuaschein mireish im Iyu amemutza mechaber. Chada Loshen Mutza Mechaber. The Rebbe said the Bochim in the base that they should be the Mutza Mechaber to those Jews in Chasson. What? Yeah, no, the Loshen Mutza Mechaber. It's alle Wesen Mutza Mechaber, the Loshen wegen Rebben. Der Rabbi im Mutza Mechaber von Atmos mit der Rebbe said about the Bochim. Alle wissen, der Rebbe said, Sukkes nun Beis, der Rebbe ist gesagt wegen Admur. Der Rebbe sagt, als jeder Rene kann nehmen die Breitkeit von der Namen Admur. Und der Rebbe right away said, hab doch a Ziter, Namen Admur. Und der Rebbe explained, was Pshat der Namen Admur. Der Rebbe explained, mir sagt doch in der Venochol auf Ruach Hawaii, bei der Beziehung von An-Kedish, als jeder eine sagt, wir noch alle Ruach Hawaii, sind wir Mashiach. Was? Du meinst Deutsch? No. And what is the Nikuda? What is the Nikuda? What I'm trying to say is, as we don't understand, all the Bochem are sitting here, don't get it. We don't understand that the Rebbe, the Gemus, Keches Atzmim. Because that we are 27 years after Gimel Tammuz, and the whole world is standing in awe, how could it be that we survived? Darf man wissen, dass beemes der Rebbe gave them door, und die Bochim noch Gimel Tammuz, der Rebbe gave them Keches Atzmim that he never said before. Der Rebbe sagt, Loshen Admur, und sagt, Loshen Mimutza Mechaber. Es sind mehrere dicke Wörter, als der Rebbe sagt, Shmini Memches. Der Rebbe hat gewiesen mit dem Finger, der Rebbe said, Azutre de Bechu Mechayim Meisim. And the Rebbe said, Mechayim Meisim meant, Abishas, Chsidim mit Kusha zum Rebbe, Mechayim Meisim means, mit Mechayim sich allein, und a zweiten, Veyesh leim ha-Kipshutek. In der Agoy, that came out now, das dreht sich herum, der Agoy von Chavches Nissen, Chavches Siven, wo der Rebbe geschrieben, there is a Ore there about the Rabbeim. Und der Ore ist, der Friedrich Rebbe Sphira said, wo schreibt der Rebbe zu, wie es schleimer der ganze Dor an Noshim etam Sphira Samalchus. Der Rebbe schreibt Xaviat Kedish. Was meint das? That we have to know, the ganze Inyan von Chavches Siven is the Inyan von Lecho Ledaitcho. That the Rebbe brings us to a new level. And the Rebbe said about Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was happy to hear that he got a nayer derech and Avodas Hashem. What is the nayer derech? As lechol ledaitcho. As chsidim, as seiret, seicho kirtzene. Which means the Rebbe says to us that each one of us as meridike keches, that if we have issues and we have doubts, we have to know as it bei uns in hand. We have the keches of ton what the Rebbe will in an Eifen, what should never Chassidim before never had it. Und der Fall, der Ihnen von Ches 7 is very important von der Ashvi. Der Rebbe said, der Sicher von meinem Test, als wir soll Mamschich sein, wenn geht auf Ches 7, als es sein, Mamschich sein bemeshach, als soll sein in the next 10 years, wo bei Yosef. Das heißt, der Ihnen von Ches 7, beim Rebbe, that's ein Ihnen, wo es in geht zum der Ashvi, als wir darf, was man darf verbringen auf Ches 7, when the speeches will be finished, and man verbringen mit an Emes, mit Aufrichten Efshele Kies, as the Rebbe gave us all the keches, nicht stam keches, keches atzmim. Der Rebbe muss am Chaber, Admur, was meint das? Das meint, that the Rebbe says, Abishas HaChosid wants to be Mekusha zum Rebbe, hein, there is a new level, and the Rebbe allein is in dir. As the Rebbe said, the Rebbe leapt in, what's the Loshen, when he gets the Dan Otzar, als lebt in dir und durch dir. Der Rebbe lebt zwischen uns und durch uns. Das ist the most important thing of Chesiven. Als Menschen meinen, als wir gehen dort sagen, Historie für Chesiven, it's not verbringen about history. Mit da vereinnacken den Kopf, der Rebbe steht da beim Heil und guckt auf jeden einen von uns, bepel Mamesh. Und als der Rebbe führt uns, בהשגחה פרוטיס ובהשגחה עליונה. Jeder Bocher, wo geht auf Schliches, or which yeshiva he is, that's השגחה עליונה. It's not stam like this. Everything by Rebbe is bediuk. There's no mistakes. 35 years, nobody knows how Chesiven mit amol mi weiß wegen dem. Der Rebbe führt us. Der Rebbe was waiting, als Dafke in dem Zman von dem Cheshach Achi Godel, von der Dan Notzach, von dem Mishpet, Dafke den, or to the second dinner from Kerch and Siven. Because that's when was needed. As the Rebbe said in the Sirach in Aleph, Abishas me'ibtuv dem Tachten, as ganz alle Elemes, the Rebbe said in Bosse de Gani Aleph, right? Alle Elemes, Yeridele mehr Penevisborch. Because there's no need for them. Dafke Elam Haze Tachten, do is Gila Atzmus, and that is Mashlim all Elemes. So the Rebbe sagt, as Dafke Chatzi Kadora Tachten. Here, as the Rebbe says in the Sikha von Ches Nissen, von Ches 7, the Rebbe said that in the word, as the Gilui from Beis HaMikdash will be here, richtig? That's the Loshen. As the Gilui from as the Siderenu, Mont und viert Uis, as the Gilui from HaMikdash wird sein, Dafke do, und danach von dort gehen, Tchamer dike Wort. Richtig? Auf dem Wort. As an the Siderenu, Mont und viert Uis, als do wird sein der Gil von Beis HaMikdash und von dort man geht zum das heißt mit darf wissen dass nicht stamm we have to once for all understand the Rebbe führt uns we are not doing anything the Rebbe führt alle von uns and that's what we have to bring tonight so lechaim where's the lechaim